This message is about the cost of survival as importer in Nigeria. Debt, desperation, and criminalization of importing and exporting containers that I experienced personally from the United States, that is, importing goods from the United States and having to clear it as an importer in Nigeria. So this experience is my own personal experience while acting as both concerning an importer in Nigeria. So I want to tell you, being an importer in Nigeria is not an easy business. It's like gambling with your life and future. So my message today is taken out from my current book titled Nigeria Deep State. Subtitle IBU TINUBU Barbershop. In 2025, this gamble of importing containers from USA to Nigeria plunged me into an unexpected debt of over 20 million naira. That's approximately about $15,000. This debt was not incurred through recklessness, through fraud, or illusory spending. It was incurred in the desperate effort to rescue my containers from unlawful custom oaths, extortion, demurrage rackets on both sides of the Atlantic. So to survive, I borrowed $15,000 in the United States from someone to repay and stabilize my situation. I was forced to sell 6 vehicles, 3 in United States and 3 vehicles in Nigeria, while using 2 additional of my vehicle as collateral for loan to bribe different agencies of the government before these containers were released. So these were not business assets. They were my personal properties, accumulated over decades of lawful work. Yet, even this sacrifice was not enough. So the aftermath of this debt triggered a new form of persecution, which led to the criminalization of a civil transaction. So instead of resolving the matters as a buyer-seller dispute, the creditor who borrowed me money chose to weaponize Nigerian law enforcement against me. He wrote a petition, submitted it against me to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. So the creditor, as a result of the money I borrowed, to pay as bribe and corruption to different agencies of government before they could release my container. So EFCC transformed this private commercial disagreement into a criminal allegation. This escalation compelled me to write formally to the EFCC on December 22, 2025. When debt becomes a crime and EFCC becomes a debt collector, the EFCC was not created to recover private debts. It was established to combat money laundering, advance free fraud, bank fraud, and public sector corruption. Yet in modern Nigeria, EFCC, in my case, has increasingly become a tool for private vendettas, where individuals with influence use law enforcement to intimidate, harass, and criminalize others. Both the person that reported this case and I are residents of the United States. The funds exchanged between us were transferred in the United States. The vehicles in question were physically located in Nigeria, while I was in America. So there's no logical or legal basis for Nigeria criminal jurisdiction over this matter. And yet, here I stand, labeled, investigated, threatened without being shown a single allegation. So I sent a letter to the EFCC chairman, to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, to different agencies of government, to demand from EFCC due process. And due process in this case is not optional. Under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, particularly Section 35, 34, 35, and 36, which states that no citizen may be arrested, investigated, or harassed without being informed promptly and in detail of the allegation against him. The Nigeria Police Act 2022, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA 2014, and the EFCC Establishment Act of 2004 all reinforce one immutable principle. Law enforcement must operate transparently and within the rule of law. There is no constitutional doctrine that permits secret petitions. There is no legal authority that allows the EFCC to hide allegations while investigating a Nigerian citizen. To do that by EFCC is unlawful, is oppressive, and void. That is why I formally demanded a complete copy of any petition submitted against me to the EFCC office, disclosure of the specific allegation under investigation, clarification of the EFCC legal basis for assuming jurisdiction over a purely civil dispute between two parties. Anything short of this is a violation of my fundamental rights. The deeper pattern, Nigerian deep state in action. The experience is not isolated. My own experience is not isolated. It confirms what I documented years earlier in my book, Nigerian Deep State. Nigeria is governed not by elected officials alone, I will continue to say, but a shadow network of civil servants, uniform officers, carrying weapons, retired power brokers, who operate with lifelong influence. This deep state functions as a parallel government. It fabricates offenses, it distorts facts, it weaponizes law enforcement against private citizens. It turns civil disputes into criminal cases. Civil servants now wield power, more power than elected governors. Uniform officers have become private debt collectors. The result is a country where 98% of citizens, those who are self-employed, uninsured, and unprotected, are preyed upon daily by government officials, while those in uniform enjoy salaries, pensions, and bribes. But the market people who are going to retire without pensions, who have no salary, they prey upon them because government gave them uniform. This is why Nigerians run to churches, because that's the only way out for them. They run to mosque for survival. The state, Nigerian state, has abandoned its own people. From custom to EFCC, a conveyor belt of extortion. My ordeal did not begin with EFCC. It began at Tinkan Island Port. I have my experience 2015 to 2025, clearing containers in Nigeria. It became a prolonged ritual of extortion that no government can change. Agents colluded with custom officials. Somebody you pay to be your agent will collude with government officials. Demurrage charges were fabricated. Vehicles were taken under false pretenses. In 2025 alone, I pay over 10 million in official custom assessment on each containers, millions more in legal bribes, over 59,000 per day in demurrage for delays, engineered by officials themselves. One clearing agent alone stripped me of over 54 million, including the deceptive seizure of a vehicle worth over 20 million, used without my consent as collateral for a loan. So when the financial pressure finally broke me, a private creditor labeled me a criminal in the process of being a container to Nigeria. He ran to EFCC. This is the Nigerian system. Custom exhort you, agents betray you, debt crushes you, law enforcement finishes you, because Nigerian government give them gun and uniform. If you consider it American versus Nigeria, the two systems probably operate the same outcome. Ironically, even this my nightmare begin with U.S. custom. That's why exporting goods purchased legally from U.S. government auctions. So my container were held on sea and delayed for weeks at the Los Angeles port, generating thousands of dollars in additional fees. So the difference between Nigeria and U.S. is simple. In the United States, you cannot negotiate, cooperate, and pay bribes. But whatever you pay, it goes straight to the government. But in Nigeria, you can negotiate with government through civil servants. So the difference is the two, as an exporter and importer. There, the government can say pay $10,000. You pay $10,000. But here in Nigeria, the government can say pay 10 million. You pay 10 million. But you are not going to get what you pay for until you pay about 10% of the 10 million you pay to the government. Either way, the exporter and importer bleeds. So a Nigeria held in hostage. So Nigeria today is not merely corrupt, it is in captive. Citizens are trapped between terrorists in the bush and officials in offices. The people in the bush that everybody is talking about, they are terrorists in Nigeria. What do they do terrorist kidnapping for? It's for you to pay ransom because you are held under guns. The other people, they held you with their uniform and fines. So to the ordinary Nigerian, the difference is just cosmetic. This is not governance. This is organized cruelty against the people of Nigeria. Nigeria does not need another strong man, I tell you. Nigeria does not need slogan or even more prayers. It needs a deliverer. Somebody that will deliver Nigeria. Someone willing to dismantle the unholy alliance of corruption, religion, and tradition that has enslaved the nation. Until then, every container is a hostage. Every importer is a debtor. Every entrepreneur is a suspect. And every honest citizen in Nigeria will continue to drill. So my book It's available on Amazon Books online, in paperback and in Kindle edition. You can order online by going to Amazon.com, whether Amazon UK, Amazon USA, or any Amazon anywhere in the world. My book is available. Nigeria Deep State Part 2, subtitle IBU TINUBU Barbershop by Emmanuel Adetula. Just go online, Amazon.com or Amazon Books, type Emmanuel Adetula. My books will come out. Or type IBU TINUBU Barbershop or Nigerian Deep State Part 2. So my book contains why Nigeria collapse is being engineered, not incidental. How institutions are designed to extract, not protect Nigerians people. The Nigerians are not managing hardship. They are suffocating under corruption, inflation, and coercion. So, I don't want you to forget. I keep saying it. There are two sides of ransom going on in Nigeria. You need to really understand it by comparing bandits in the bush and bureaucrats in offices. One uses guns, the other one uses files. The importer is an hostage. How containers become human leverage. Custom, police, and bonded terminals are detention centers. Custom has created a ransom economy through CIU fees, illegal percentages assessment, paid twice, once to government, once to civil servants. Police in uniform. They operate as kidnappers in practice. Think Island police station experience. Payment without relief. Threats after compliance. Your own agent. You think you don't know the system? Your own agent will betray the importer. Clearing agents, custom clearing agent, is an extension of custom. They are perfected in fake invoices, collusion, and manufactured demurrages. Demurrage is a silent weapon against the importers. How delay is engineered, how time is monetized, how desperation is calculated. Our religion of Christianity and Islam has become a camouflage in the corruption going on in Nigeria. Mosques and churches full of inside corruption. Christian and Muslim doesn't bother. It doesn't bother the position you hold in the church. It doesn't escape them from collecting bribe. So churches and mosques has begin to experience moral collapse as an institution. So every Nigerian that want to do business are struggling for financial survival. That is, you are borrowing to pay bribes. You are selling your assets to free your goods from custom. Debt as a cause of honest business practice. You selling your life to save a container. Selling property sacrificed to meet bureaucracy bribe demands. From debt to crime. From debtor to criminal. How a civil allegation is rebranded as fraud. The moment business becomes criminal in a country, then that country is collapsing. When the EFCCs enter the life of a businessman as a result of petition, threats, and intimidation, how law enforcement is invited into private dispute in Nigeria, and because they hold the guns and the uniform, so they are now supporting the rich against the poor, and they become debt collectors among buyers and sellers. EFCC is not a debt collector. I say it again. EFCC is not a debt collector. Legal boundaries of EFCC authority, constitutional limits, and deliberate overreach through secret petition and silent allegations by business partners, due process denied, investigation without disclosure, law without lawfulness, which inspire a letter, I'm going to say it again, I wrote to the EFCC, demanding for transparency, demand for constitutional compliance, real-life proof of Nigerian deep state, civil servants as untouchable power brokers, civil servants in uniform, operating above the law, unelected officials that operate to overpower government, to overpower courts, and the citizen of Nigeria. From my own experience, as an importer, I can say that Nigeria is a hostage state where citizens as collateral who must pay the civil servant's bribe to get his goods released to him by the government officials, even after paying the correct custom assessment fees to the federal government accounts. This is my own experience. This my experience has made me to conclude that the following must die for Nigerians to live. Corruption must die. Weaponized religions must die. Untouchable bureaucracy must end. And uniform impunity in Nigeria must end. Nigeria has reached a stage in corruption that years of experience in political leadership is insufficient to save Nigeria. Nigeria needs reformers and deliverers. I am handing this message with warning to future importers. Or you just keep my book as a record for history, as a first-person narrative and institutional indictment of how corruption, bureaucratic extortion, and law enforcement overreach have transformed everyday economic activity in Nigeria into a system of ransom, beginning with a Metaphor IBU TINUBU Barbershop, where citizens enter with dignity, exit stripped. And remember this, my book is a document. How Post, Custom, Police, and Financial Crime Agency function as instrument of extraction rather than governance. Through my own lived experience as an importer, exporter, media founder, and private citizen, this book exposes how civil disputes are criminalized, how debt becomes fraud, and how law enforcement agencies are repurposed as private debt collectors. It argues that Nigerian crisis is not accidental, but structural, maintained by a deep state of unelected actors who operate beyond accountability. My work stands at the intersection of memo, legal testimony, political analysis. It is both a warning and a record. My message here is just a systemic exposure through lived experience that climaxed to criminalization and constitutional breach of a law enforcement agency, which is nothing but a national indictment, and call for deliverance of the Nigerian people from the government corruption overreach. This book is a continuation of the Nigerian deep state that I wrote in 2018. 7 years later, between 2018 and 2025, nothing has changed. This second volume of this book exists because the system I exposed did not reform itself. It perfected itself for the past 8 years. My book is not theory. My book is not criticism. My book is not speculation or political propaganda. It is a 10-year eyewitness account of what it means to import goods into Nigeria through Tinkan Island port, and what happens when government institutions mutate into instrument of extortion of the people. I do not write as an opposition politician. I do not belong to any political party. I write as a Nigerian importer who survived the system. In choosing a title for this book, I considered the following titles before choosing IBU TINUBU Barbershop: The Nigerian Deep State, My Life Inside a Captive Nation, How Nigeria Turned Businessman into Criminal and Debtor. I have published and authored more than 20 books in the past. More are based on first-person documentation, and this one is about port-level corruption plus law enforcement abuse. And as a trained negotiator and dispute resolution professional with blends of legal analysis, lived experience, and political theory. So all my books function as both book and evidentiary record. So, if you want to know about me, I, Emmanuel Adetula, I am a negotiator, I am a mediator, I am a dispute resolution consultant, and I have certificate, training, 2 courses that give me diplomas in this work, in negotiation, mediation, dispute resolution, conflict management. From Colleen University, New York, Pepperdine University School of Law, Malibu, California, La Sierra University, Riverside, California. And when we talk about institution of peace, I have my courses in United States Institute of Peace Academy. So I'm not the kind of person that EFCC can harass when it comes to things of legal matter. No. Anybody that think that I hold a position of nope anybody in Nigerian government, I think can use a law enforcement against me, is playing a long game. I don't belong to that group of people. I know for sure that Queen Elizabeth gave the certificate of occupancy of this country and put the name of some people there, and they have been ruling us as landlord for the past over 60 years. But those of us whose father's name are not in the certificate of occupancy given by Queen Elizabeth for the independence of Nigeria, the time has come for those of us to tell the landlord of this nation that we tenant is coming to tell them enough is enough. Thank you.